Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. My name is George Fritz, and I'm chairman of the Mural on Main Committee. Last summer, 2014, a die-hard Lockportian who's now living in California was back home for a high school reunion. His name is Guy Hornberg, and he approached me with an idea to paint a mural on an ugly wall that was left behind after an ugly parking ramp was torn down. So we floated the idea on Facebook, and 14 months later, here we are standing in front of a masterpiece. Now, it wasn't quite that simple. There were meetings, many meetings. There were battles. There were tears. There was laughter. And there was passion. I think more than anything, that's what makes Lockport such a special place. Our passion for community. If there's one thing that we are not, it's passive. That passion was interpreted by two amazing artists and gradually came to life before our eyes. But more about them in a minute. You don't just show up one morning and decide to paint a work of art on a 42-foot high wall. It took some very special people to make this happen. We had an amazing committee. And you know, ordinarily when you say the word committee, you think of a group of people that take a great idea and pound it into mush. But we had some amazing people that worked together, and each one of them played a vital role and proved to be the movers and shakers in our city. Melissa Dunlap is here someplace, and if she would raise her hand. The executive director of the Niagara County Historical Society managed the money, the paperwork, the insurance issues. Sounds like fun, right? Without her support, this could have never happened. And Melissa had the entire organization of the Niagara County Historical Society support our effort with service that was far above the call of duty. And we say thank you. Kathy Wood, a dedicated community worker that kept us organized. Where's Kathy, if she would raise her hand? Yeah. She took notes, provided valuable insight, always had an extra pen when I consistently forgot mine. Kathy provided a wealth of fundraising experience, and without funds, little can be achieved. David Kenyon. David. David's a patient, tenacious pioneer of progress for promoting tourism, the Erie Canal, and the region as a whole. It was David Kenyon who first articulated the idea of restoring the original Flight of Five. And if you take a look, David, we've already done that for you. David Kenyon is a quiet man, but a driving force with sage advice and experience that was invaluable. Jessica Dittler. Small Business Person of the Year, provided a vision for a new generation of Lockportians. In her words, Lockport is a new city that will be built on local business and the arts. Jessica's background in art and her passion for Lockport helped Augustina Droz and the committee to arrive at a design that speaks to our history, but also speaks to a new generation. Thank you, Jessica. Jay Krull, who funded and managed our website, organized an advisory meeting of local artists, and supported the Mural on Main effort in many other ways. Thank you, Jay. Ellen Martin is a woman who thinks crazy and then makes it happen. I think she invented out of the box. Sometimes our vision needs to be expanded, and Ellen doesn't hesitate to expand it. She provided some great advice and logistical help. The original photo shoot for the models you see in our mural was held at the Sweet Rides location, and she organized that. And Joe Molly, who hopefully is here somewhere, of the Port Photography Club donated his time and took some amazing photos that were used as references by the artists. Thank you, Joe Mural. In attendance today are the models for the 3 historical figures that are so prominent in the mural. And I'm going to ask them to please step up. Karen Sherwood, Kevin McDonough, and Dennis Case. Can you tell who is who? Yeah. Pretty amazing. Thank you very much. Mayor Ann McCaffrey was there from the very first meeting and throughout. Her support and advice provided guidance that made success possible. I'll never forget an hour-long Sunday afternoon phone conversation that I had with Ann. She turned a frantic, frustrated moment into a pragmatic, common-sense solution. And all was well. Thank you. Not only that, the city of Lockport has been a pleasure to work with. Every member of the Common Council offered their unanimous support, along with the Planning Board, Captain Mike Neathy and the entire police department, Rochelle Passeri and the city clerk's office. And I know it's kind of a hobby, for a lot of us to complain about our elected officials, but how about an occasional pat on the back for doing the right thing? Our first real break came from an organization that has supported Lockport in many remarkable ways. The Greg Lewis Foundation came forward with an incredible matching grant of $10,000. That certainly caught the attention of everyone. Donations started to pour in from every segment of the community. The response was overwhelming. Without the Greg Lewis Foundation and their support of so many local projects, Lockport would be a shadow of itself. The executive director of the Greg Lewis Foundation is here today, Claire Smith. If you could raise your hand. Or Chris Smith, I'm sorry. Yes. Please, your applause. The historic Palace Theater played a valuable role in making the mural a reality. Director Chris Parada provided makeup, which is why, the guy with the beard here is a little different in person. The Palace hosted the unveiling event of the render and the presentation on the big screen. They played all the mural video updates on their screen before the previews of their movies. The Palace Theater is our local treasure and a vital part of our community. Lastly, I need to tell you about our artists. Augustina Droz designed the mural Guardian of the Waters and has attended countless meetings, fundraisers, and has held together even in the most challenging moments. She is a muralist with a wealth of experience painting images that come to life on giant walls all over Western New York, cities across the country, and all over the world. Bruce Adams was an equal partner in painting the Guardian of the Waters. He is a widely revered Western New York artist with an impressive resume of artistic achievements. These include the recently completed mural in the Cobblestone District in Buffalo named Go. Augustina assisted in that project. These two wonderfully talented artists became like family members to me. and I can share some secrets about them that you might find interesting. First of all, they fight all day long like cats and dogs. The bickering goes on from morning till night, 40 feet off the ground. Luckily, they were always wearing their safety harness. But through all that bickering, they were able to sort it out, and the result was magical. Between the artistic fireworks, I hear that Augustina and Bruce have written a musical while trapped in that cage 40 feet high. The lyrics are set to the music of The Littlest Mermaid. So since I have not yet been permitted to hear it or see it, they've promised to perform it live for all of us today. They're quite a team. Augustina Droz and Bruce Adams are perfectionists. I'll tell you another story that happened on the final day of painting. They signed their names. We took the pictures. They parked the boom lift in the corner. They put away the paint. And Augustina pointed out that they forgot to paint the red light on the boater's traffic signal to the right next to the green locks. I said, forget about it. No one is ever going to notice that. It'll be our secret. So it took several minutes of convincing, and they both agreed to leave it alone. I left. I came back to work the next day, and I noticed that the red light had been painted. It's that attention to detail that we will appreciate for many years to come. And from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. Before we hear from Bruce and Augustina on the presentation of their musical, the Honorable Mayor Ann McCaffrey would like to say a few words.
Thank you. Back in 2013, the City of Lockport Common Council acknowledged a long-standing problem. We had a non-functional behemoth of a city parking ramp right on our main street, and it was becoming a magnet for graffiti, mischief, and vandalism. The Common Council approved the demolition of the old city parking ramp and the creation of a new Main Street parking lot and a Pine Street parking lot. When the ramp finally came down, opportunities arose. Opportunities that we had not fully considered before. Pedestrians and motorists now had views that they had not had in decades, namely a view of the Erie Canal and a view of the east side of the Ulrich Development Mills Jewelers building. And this is where George Fritz's vision of a mural on the side of the building began. In the summer of 2014, George gathered a committee together to develop and implement plans for a mural on the building. Over the course of the last year, many meetings were held and much more work was done to pull together the funds, commission the artists, and create a masterpiece for everyone in Lockport to take pride in. Like all meaningful initiatives, the project had its ups and downs. Obstacles were encountered, but ultimately overcome. The committee stayed focused on the goal and was able to see it to fruition. Which brings us to today. I want to congratulate and thank George Fritz for his leadership in turning his passion for Lockport into reality. We would not be here today if it weren't for George. Public art is many things to many people, but most of us agree that public art can be transformative. It can inspire us, it can broaden our minds, it can remind us of our history and our heritage, and it can shape our attitudes. I'm thrilled to be here today for this dedication, and I'm honored to have been on the committee where every committee member played an integral role in achieving our goal. Let this mural be Lockport's first, but not our last, community art project that will continue to inspire us in many ways to be a more positive, more inviting, more engaging, and more creative place to be. Let this mural be a symbol to all of us that Lockport is a city proud of our past and full of hope for our future. I have the pleasure of introducing our two artists, Augustina Droz and Bruce Adams. Please come on up.
Do I talk into this one? Okay. Hello. Unlike everybody else, I do not have a speech prepared, so I'm going to wing it, and here comes my son, so I guess he's going to join me. Okay, stay here. Okay, so I just want to thank everybody for this awesome turnout. One of the biggest turnouts I've ever had to a public art dedication, so that's really awesome. So thank you, everybody, for coming. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about the project and the wonderful community response that we've got. Bruce and I, by the way, we do bicker all day, but it's in a very loving way. So we're not really fighting. I mean, we're arguing. We challenge each other, but I wouldn't call it fighting so much. The mural itself, I'll just kind of give you a quick rundown of what all the imagery signifies, and then I'll just take a few minutes to also say thank you to the community again, because it's been such a wonderful, wonderful experience. So if we look up here at the mural, I'll just start at the top. The top is an image of the guardian of the water, which is where the mural got its name. And it's a goddess that's overlooking the locks and the city of Lockport. And this imagery was very important as it was inspired by a poster that I saw when we were in the planning phase of the mural for Old Homes Week from 1910. So I saw this poster, and it was actually a woman holding electrical lines. It's like an Art Nouveau style image. And we wanted to kind of take it and change it up a little bit to be more significant to the water of the locks. So honoring the Wedding of the Waters, which is when the governor of New York brought a bucket of water from the ocean sailed up through the Erie Canal and dumped it into the Erie Canal. We're honoring that historical moment, and the Wedding of the Waters, with this image. It's a woman who's separating the waters, which signifies the separation of the waters for the upper and the lower locks here in the Erie Canal. It's also painted in an Art Deco, Art Nouveau style with the very stylized water that you see around it, which is also kind of a nod back to the poster that I just told you about from 1910. The imagery in the center we all know, which is the historic Flight of Five and the modern locks. The Flight of Five, which is going to be restored completely. So that's an artistic rendition of what it will look like. Hopefully it will look pretty similar to that when it actually gets done. And then the people that we've already discussed who are posing in historic garb. And then in the corners of the mural, we see different, more modern tourist attractions here in Lockport. So we have the vineyards and the wineries. We have historic buildings, such as the Old City Hall, which is up in the right corner. We have the towpath and bike riding, which just kind of signifies other outdoor adventures, things that people might do around here. And as well, produce, specifically like pumpkins, apples, things that are grown locally here in this part of Western New York. And the background is supposed to look like it's on parchment, and it's old renderings of innovations that were made here in Lockport. Most notably, the Holly fire hydrant, which is on the left. I actually had the honor of just going on the cave tour and saw the old Holly factory, which burnt down, which I think is a really funny thing that happened with you building fire hydrants. And then also a component of the steam engine. So those are some of the innovations that were made here, among many, many others that we couldn't include here in Lockport. We painted it in a style that's very realistic, but it also has some abstracted elements, so I think it's a very interesting composition. And Bruce and I are just really excited and pleased about how it turned out. We just think it looks really nice, and I think it's a great thing for the community. Couldn't have done it without the committee, which George already introduced everybody. I want to second that. Thank you so much to the committee. It was really a group effort, and especially Jessica Ditley over there, who was also instrumental in the planning of the design. And also just a huge thank you to my partner Bruce, without whom this would have been lots and lots of lonely hours up on a lift. He was definitely fun. I hate to disappoint everybody, but I don't think I can convince him to sing with me. Up on the Wall, which is the name of our musical. I don't know if I'm going to get him to do that, but we'll see. So here's Bruce. Thank you again, everybody. It's been a wonderful thing. Everybody, so many good jobs, so many high fives, so many thumbs up. So big high five, big thumbs up back to you, Lockport. Thank you so much.
So when I picked Augustina up,
this morning. She said, you want a speech? I have nothing to say. And I usually also speak spontaneously, but last night I did think of some things I wanted to say, so I jotted some thoughts down. So, a long time ago, at least 150 years ago, artists were valued and respected members of every community. They were admired and revered. If they were skilled at their craft, they made a good living. There were few starving artists back then. A lot has changed over the years. Today, artists are more likely to be seen as self-indulgent eccentrics, maybe even charlatans imposing the equivalent of the emperor's new clothes upon the public. Or worse, they are thought of as gulp hobbyists. Three things made this an extraordinary experience for us. The first, I got to start with the man that everyone else is, recognizing, is George. A person with remarkable vision and dogged perseverance. Someone who understands the power of art, its importance and value to the spirit and the economy of the community. George provided us with a place to work and an endless supply of Diet Cola and coffee, which I was very grateful for. George is joined by a dedicated committee that has already been introduced and mentioned a couple of times, who saw to it that his vision was realized. So I'd like to also add my thanks to everyone else's for all those people. The second thing was, usually when people want public art, they say, here's what we have to spend, now what can we get for that? And artists typically do more than the budget really provides, often putting little or nothing into their pockets. Remarkably, this group did something totally different. They asked, I lost my place, how much will it actually cost to make a work of art? And then they raised that amount. I can't tell you how unusual that is. That's really remarkable in the world of art. And you see the result. Lockport has now the most complex and challenging mural either of us have ever done. So again, thanks to the committee and to all the many donors in Lockport that made this possible. Thank you. Finally, the third thing that made this a really unique experience is, as Augustina said, the people of Lockport. You've been incredibly supportive, more supportive than we've ever experienced before. You know, and as she said, people honking all day long as they go by, their thumbs out, nearly having accidents out here, which is always fun to watch from the lift, and coming up and taking photographs and buying us Diet Coke and coffee. People, I mean, from the street, and sometimes after we were off the lift, a drink over across the street. So, you know, people were so kind. And the one thing I kept hearing, which I thought was really interesting, is people kept saying thank you, which was really strange. Thank you for coming here and doing this. That was just terrific. Imagine whatever you do for a living, whether you're cashing people out at the store, or you're putting a new roof on a house, or whatever you're doing. You're working in a jewelry store. Imagine if people came by all day and said, "Great job, thanks a lot." That's really terrific. We've never felt this gratified doing a project, so I really want to also thank Lockport. Now, I came in later in this project, so I want to thank Augustina for wanting to work with me again. And now I have and I also should say that when I started, I kind of signed on as experienced help. But I very quickly got invested in this project and felt ownership of it, and it became really important to me. I have a confession. Before doing this mural, the last time I was here in Lockport, I was a kid. In the past weeks, I've discovered rediscovered what a charming town this is. And people have been coming from all over to see this mural. We have people here from Florida and from higher up in the country, in the New England area, and from all over the region. And I expect they too will discover what Lockport has to offer. So today I brought my wife and my extended family here, and we're going to do the town. We're going to taste some wine over there. We're going to see the caves and check out the locks and peek at the theater and get some ice cream over there. And then later we're going to have dinner at one of your restaurants. I'm not going to say which one because there's a lot of good ones here. And maybe we'll have some beer. and then tomorrow we'll diet. But we'll be back. So thank you very much, Lockport.
Now we have from Mural Mania, a gentleman, Mark DeCracker, and he's...
I forgot to do that.
That's okay.
That's
And he is going to talk about the Global Mural Conference, which is going to be held in Fairport next year.
Thank you, George. And my counterpart here, Gene Bavis, is here with me. It was a year ago that we had a phone conversation and shared a PowerPoint and a dream with a committee here in Lockport. And they, I never thought in a year they'd get it done. They did it. I'm amazed at what they've done. And what this has done is given us an iconic mural at bookends of our state. Not necessarily all the way. Syracuse has a large mural, and so does Lockport. And we almost got this gap. We'll have like 175 miles of murals. If we get a couple communities to the east of us to participate, then we can market that around the world. We already have the largest. I just want to say, there was a fellow here, Patrick McGreevy, who was a young child. I see lots of youngsters out there that would go into the bank here in Lockport, and he'd look at this mural up on the wall. That now, a duplication of it is now in the Discovery Center here in Lockport. He would stare at that. And because of that mural, he got involved in history. And he wrote a book called Stairway to an Empire because of this digging through the Niagara Escarpment, which is no small matter. So it's just perseverance that I'm glad. Thanks for painting this. These young children are going to be inspired for the future. I just want to say a few things about the Global Mural Conference. I hope you're going to be there. We need great artists. They're going to be all around the world. You're going to China. Some are coming from China. But we're going to talk about heritage, women's suffrage, Underground Railroad, the Erie Canal, Native American culture. We want these. We're going to have murals from around the world, painting under one tent, which is inspiring to have so many creative people together. So we hope to have 20, maybe it'll end up 30. So we're going to be asking communities to participate in this process. And then we're going to take these murals and have fun with them and called Art Walks on Water. We're going to have a mural flotilla parade. Maybe it'll go all the way up and down the canal. And we're talking about having the artwork displayed in the Albany Concourse. So you can be I heard a second mural is underway. I hope this is part of it and many more, because we want to come west for a day on the conference, because we got to show them this iconic mural. And the way you know how to do is fundraising. Not only we want you on our committee, because you know how to do this. And we also, the other thing he fulfills for us is we got a main speaker, because he's done it. This is what a community. A lot of people. There's a lot of naysayers everywhere, but George has shown a community how you can make it happen. So we want other communities to buy into this concept. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to a year from now. We'll be doing this other thing called the Erie Canal Mosaic, and we're going to be painting this mosaic. This is not a very good image of it, but we're going to have high school art students and younger students from around the state painting little squares on Evelyn. It's a material you can paint on and apply to a wall. That's going to resemble an Erie Canal iconic scene. So you're going to have buy-in from up to 500 school children. So we need to network this out to our schools, because we want to get these young artists inspired. And this will go up on a wall. We haven't determined that yet. So over here is our Global Mural Conference that Liz is holding up. And that's we're going to have our name on it, and then we pass it on. It might go to who knows where next. But we're so delighted to have it here, because the Erie Canal has amazing history to tell, and you guys have done a wonderful job of it. So we look forward to coming back to Lockport a year from now. Thank you very much.
Well, there's a few closing remarks that I need to say, and mostly thank yous. We've had a lot of thank yous here today. Thank you to Brent Powley for donating his time today and his microphones and the music. Thank you to Jackie Conley from the Flight of Five winery over there. She's going to provide some delicious Flight of Five wines for our toast. And let's see. We have Bruce and Augustina have produced some very high quality prints, and they'll be selling those over at the table. They are, there's only 100 of them. They're all signed by the artist. And you'll notice there's no archival prints. Yeah. And 20% of the proceeds are going to be donated to the Mural Maintenance Fund, which we'll need. So see Bruce and Augustina. You can meet them, talk to them, and hopefully purchase a print. They kind of jump through a lot of hoops, to get that print made without that light pole in the center of it. So you'd swear that's an actual high-resolution photo of the mural. Yeah, so see them about that. And thank you to the citizens of Lockport. There's a reason why I will never live anywhere else but Lockport, New York. And it's these people of Lockport. Just the closeness and the passion and the love that everyone has for their hometown. And even for people that have moved out of state, the response to this mural, I mean, Lockport is probably one of the largest cities in the country. They're just spread out all over the place. And, their heart is here. And there have been many donations that have been made, from people that now live out of state. So with the people in Lockport in mind, we'd like to dedicate this mural to the people of Lockport. This is a replica of the plaque that is currently being produced in bronze, and it will be located right on the corner where those people are standing by the balloons, and it will be there for everyone to see for years to come. And I guess that concludes the program for today. I thank you all for coming. And now this is your chance to just walk right down that hill and see the real thing in person. Blacktoberfest is going on right now. Thank you very much for coming.
Great job.